Hey, how you doing? It's your boy Stephen Lee on System Unfiltered. Today we're going to talk about some jobs out there that you can't have bad actors, right? Like kind of like airline pilots, where you can't have bad airline pilots where they decide, oh, you know what, I'm going to decide to crash a plane today, and so forth and so on, right? And policing is one of those jobs where you can't have bad actors, and you have to have 100% good actors. Um, I'm going to share this, and is basically Sergeant Javier Esqueda from the Joliet Police Department in Illinois. So check this clip out.
He also says when he tried to tell a police captain about what he saw in that video, he was told to shut up about it. The video was later shown to pastors in the area, but Escada claimed it was doctored, so he gave the video to a local TV station to release. Days after the video was published, Escada was reassigned to administrative duties, and he was charged with a felony. Official misconduct. Escada resigned from the department in 2022. The charges dismissed last year. Now, the Joliet saying tonight it is unable to comment on pending litigation.
Yeah, so a lot of people say that, we should stop, officers should stop bad actions of other officers, and other officers should also speak out on things like this. And when we do, a lot of the times the department pushes back and they label you a rat, and they retaliate against you, and then they file charges and they dirty you up and stuff like that. Today, I have Sergeant Javier Esqueda, ex-Joliet police sergeant, on the show, and I want everyone to welcome Javier. Javier, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. Let's talk about the video first. So it says that you spoke out about the bad actions and they didn't take proper action, right? So what action is it that they should have took, and what's happening in the video?
Stephen, you and I have been friends for a while just from what you and I experienced together. And the same thing as law enforcement, the same playbook every department uses to go after good cops to do the right thing. In that video, so to start things off, what people should know if they don't already know is that I didn't even know about this. So the reason I was made aware of this by another fellow field training sergeant was because it involved a field training officer and a recruit that I was in charge of their training. And I was not made aware of what happened in this case with Eric Lurie because they doctored the daily observation report for that day in training. They made it seem like it was a routine call. They went to arrest a guy. He became combative and they got him medical assistance because he was overdosing on drugs. That was how
Also,
brief that daily observation report was.
so they lied on the report, basically saying that they took proper action and he was combative.
Yeah, they absolutely doctored it. So the department knows, a lot of the officers know what kind of a sergeant I am. I was always honest, did the job right, like you and I always expect other officers to be like. But the underlying thing with police departments is there is that blue code of silence, and there's people in the department that you don't realize that they do a lot of things that you and I know or found out about that they do. And we're really surprised because we think everybody's like us. Take the oath, be an honest cop, do the job. And that's not the case. It's not the
Right. They
case.
expect you. They expect you to sacrifice your morality and honor in exchange for silence.
Yeah, and that's not the case with us. We did what we were supposed to do, you and I, do the job right. And then we find out the hard way that not everybody is like us. And when we do what we're supposed to, the same playbook of retaliation comes to play, and you wind up being the bad guy. Your fellow officers turn their backs on you, people that you've known for 25, 30 years, that you thought were friends from one day to the next. Guess what? They ghost you. You're
Yeah,
the bad
they
guy,
do.
not the players in what they did.
Yeah,
So in the case
yeah.
of
A lot
Eric
of them.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of them turn their backs on you because they're fear of themselves being retaliated or blackballed, where they can't move up in ranking, and transferring different units and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I labeled the officers that turned their back on me cowards, and a lot of
Right,
them got mad when they heard I said that, and the fact of the matter remains, you don't turn your back on your real friends and family. They did. Almost the entire police department turned their backs except for the Black Police Officers Association of Joliet. They
right.
had my back the entire time. Detective
Nice,
Dave
nice,
Jackson, a good friend, called me a hero. And to this day, they still back me and always have. And me,
nice.
I'm the secretary of the BPOA, the JBPOA.
Okay.
And everybody else, other than like maybe 3 other officers and the BPOA, to this day still talk to me and remain my friends. 200 officers other than that, when they see me, they act like they don't know me. Even though I
Yeah,
was vindicated, and when they found out I was vindicated, people wanted me to be convicted knowing I did nothing wrong.
that's crazy. Yeah, like, I mean, you're fortunate enough to have, fraternities and the police association to back you up. The Agent J Society didn't even help me. Actually, some of the members hurt my case and stuff. So let me ask you a question, a couple questions, right? Brief background. How long were you a police officer?
Wow. At the time that I found out about the Eric Lurie video, I was already an officer 27 years.
27 years. And you were the training sergeant, correct?
I was a field training sergeant. So I was a sergeant on the street, but also assigned to field training.
Okay, so you know what you're supposed to do. You know the rules, you know the tactics and stuff like that, proper procedure. So in that video, what were the proper steps that they were supposed to take?
Well, that part of the video that Channel 32 showed, I didn't even know Channel 32 Fox even presented that. I was surprised when you showed that. Seriously, I didn't
Oh
know
yeah,
that would
I
come
just
out.
googled you real quick. Yeah, I googled you real quick and that popped up.
Yeah, I
So
never
what
even
what
saw that.
so in the videos that you know of, what are they doing and what did they were supposed to do that didn't do?
Okay, so what Fox showed, they didn't even show the worst part of that video. So when we look at the Fox video, they just show Eric Lurie in the back of the seat chewing on something. And then they skip over to where he's already dead and they're sweeping his mouth with a dirty baton,
Yeah,
pulling
I
back
saw that.
out of his mouth. Yeah, so
Yeah.
what really happened, that part of the video, when the officers put him in the car, they already said he possibly had drugs in his mouth. Department policy says if you suspect anybody, an arrestee, of having any kind of contraband in their mouth or they're having a medical issue, you are to get medical attention immediately. He should have either been, and we call an ambulance. We never really transport people by squad car. But in that situation, they weren't more than 10 minutes away from Silver Cross Hospital. So they could have taken him right away, but policy says to call for an ambulance. They advised the sergeant. The sergeant said, no, we'll take care of it when we get to the station.
That's crazy. Yeah, NYPD, we call it a bus, right? Short for ambulance also. So we call a bus also, and we have them transported to the hospital also for detox. Yeah.
Right. And they were supposed to get an ambulance. Sergeant said, no, wait till we get to the station. The station's 11 minutes away, the PD on the east
Wow.
side. So they
That's
drove him. And
crazy.
in that video, you see him chewing on something, right?
Right.
Well, at that time, they already knew he was chewing on something. They didn't care. They get him to the station. The officers get out, and and in the actual video, because there's 3 different angles of that camera view. There's that backseat view and 2 forward views of that in-car video. You see the officers get out, and they talk to the lieutenant and the sergeant and tell them what's going on. First, they try to give Lurie a sternum rub, like we always do to wake somebody up.
Yeah.
A lot of
Mhm.
all across the nation, officers do that. A
Yep, we
sternum
do
rub.
that too.
And they were like, "Hey, man, quit." They're actually telling him to quit faking it.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah.
then the sergeant comes on the other side, the sergeant of the drug unit, goes up to him in the video, grabs him by his throat, and then slaps him and says, "Wake up, bitch,"
Wow.
and then grabs his nose, cutting off his airway. In the state of
Wow.
Illinois, they passed a law over 10 years ago. You cannot cut off someone's airway in order to try to retrieve contraband.
Yeah, I saw him grabbing his nose. Yeah.
Yeah. But they
So what happened after that?
Yeah, so then he holds his nose
Mhm.
and his throat for a minute and 38 seconds.
That's a long time.
He's
That's a
suffocating.
long time.
So
Yeah.
what happens if you say you have a piece of gum in your mouth and I grab your nose and cover your mouth and you're gonna try to breathe and you can't breathe through your nose and say you can get your mouth open, what are you gonna do? Suck air
And
in,
choke on
right?
the gum. Yeah, and
Yep.
choke on the gum.
So
Yeah.
he had baggies in his mouth. He choked and suffocated on those baggies. Because what they don't show in that video coming up when they're sweeping his mouth and getting the baggies out, the
Right.
last baggie they get out of his throat looks like a condom. It's about that long.
Wow.
And they pull that out of his he was already dead. They claim, the department, after they got him out of the back seat and put him on the floor, they ran in and got a defib. They claim that with the defib, they were able to get some kind of a pulse, a signal. They claim that he actually didn't die. They brought him back, which was bullshit as a cover up. So when they transport him finally to the hospital, he is he's brain dead. So they have him
Wow.
on a machine. The sergeant who actually suffocated him meets up with Eric Lurie's wife, Nicole, and tells her what happened, his side, and he's the one that suffocated him. So the coroner, so here's the thing, you and I both know how all this works. Everybody's in cahoots with each other on the cover up. The coroner at the time says that no, he wasn't suffocated. He died of the drug overdose.
That's
So
crazy.
then his coroner's report comes out, not yet to the public, mind you. It didn't come out till after I blew the whistle,
Mhm.
the report. And then the state's attorney of Will County went off of that and said the officers did nothing wrong. Nothing. So part of the video, so I want to bring forward to you is that what they don't show on that either is when the sergeant slaps him and calls him a bitch, says, "Wake up, bitch." He looks up at the camera, the audio gets cut out. So the
Wow.
department was trying to say it was a fluke. It
Yeah, yeah,
wasn't.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
exactly what I thought happened. They tampered with evidence, is why I went to watch the video the second time and I copied it because
Uh-huh.
I knew that video would disappear if I didn't do that.
Right.
So it comes out after I blew the whistle. They put the sergeant on administrative leave as well as the FTO. I'm sorry, the sergeant on administrative leave. The FTO did it. They started an internal on both of them 6 months later. The officer admits in the internal, and it's in the lawsuit that Lurie won and just got paid, Nicole Lurie, he admits he tried killing the video because he knew what the sergeant was doing was wrong and didn't want him to get into trouble.
Wow. He admitted to
Admitted
that.
it.
Wow, that's crazy.
Admitted it.
And what
And
happened to that officer?
6 days off. That's a federal offense for tampering with evidence.
Yeah,
That's
'cause
six.
they actually award you. They like that, right? They like where you're trying to, like, enforce this blue line, right? Of the blue wall of silence and stuff. They feel like you're a team player and you're looking out for the team, which is crazy in my
Yep.
mind. It's crazy.
6 days off on an internal. And then the sergeant, he wind up getting 6 days off for calling him a bad name.
Wow.
No battery, because he slapped them. Now you tell me, in all the years you've had first aid training, what does it say in first aid? Subject who's overdosing on drugs or choking, you hold the man's nose and cut off his airway, slap him really hard and call him a bitch.
Absolutely not. You're not. They didn't try to administer Narcan or anything like that? Nothing?
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and you know what?
That's
What's
crazy.
sad is I always carried Narcan because I would
Yeah.
always fly the calls to try to help people and administer that to bring them back.
Right.
They didn't
Yeah, and
care
N
about
NYPD and NYPD, all officers are required to carry Narcan, right, in case of overdoses and stuff like that. At least when I was on patrol, I always carried Narcan in my patrol bag and stuff like that, or make sure the car has it, and it's just amazing to me that, they didn't even
They
try
didn't
to.
require it on Joliet. They asked officers if they wanted it.
And Joliet is in Illinois, right?
Yeah, Joliet is in Illinois. It was about 187,000 people. It's like the
Uh-huh.
third or second largest city in Illinois. We are about
Okay.
50 miles away from Chicago. And it's a big department. Consider Illinois,
How big is the
320
department?
officers.
How many people you say is in your
320,
department?
yeah, 320 officers at the time. And that's considered a big department in Illinois because the largest one is Chicago with over 13,000
Yeah.
officers. And like you
NYPD
guys,
is 30,000 deep.
that's what I mean, 30,000. But how many of those 30,000 are actually working officers that aren't ghosted on the schedule? Same
That's
thing like
true.
with
That's true.
Chicago. Yeah,
That's
you got
true.
the guys that are golfing every day while you're busting your ass on the street,
Right.
and you have the ghosted
That's true.
guys getting paid and playing golf, right? So
So, Javier, tell me what happened after, like, what was your first steps in whistleblowing? Like, when it says that you released the video to the media, right? Is that what
yeah.
happened?
Yeah, so this is what happened. So 5 months, almost 5 months after TV, so this happened January 28th with Eric Lurie. It was my
Uh-huh.
day off, I'm on day shift, so I didn't even know about it. So January 28th, sometime around late March or mid-April, a fellow field training sergeant, you're gonna love this, who later on, after the bad players, the chief, his deputy chief, and all of them were forced to go back to their rank because they took someone from within and made him a chief. She became the same field training sergeant that told me about the video, became a deputy chief. And get this, you're going to love this. So the new female chief and this female deputy chief went against what the city manager told them to leave me alone. They pushed my internal. They hired an outside agency to do my internal. and they found me in violation of 16 policies. 16 policies. The only policy I violated was talking to the press without direct consent of the chief.
Right. We have that too. It's like you have to clear with deputy commissioner of what is it? I forgot the name, but it's he
Like
basically
me?
handles the press. Yeah, and they tried to charge me with that also when I went on the podcast, but it's First Amendment speech. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't hear about this video until she told me about it. So I told her, I said, "Hey, I looked at the DOR, the Daily Observation Report for January 28th. Why do I have to watch this video if it indicates everything was normal?" She says, "I watched the video, it was very disturbing. You need to watch it." Okay. So I looked at the DOR. I said, there's nothing for me to look at. So every other day or whatever, she kept bothering me. "Hey, you need to watch that video." So finally, May 25th occurred. That's when George Floyd, that incident with George Floyd occurred, May 25th
Right.
of 2020. When
Right.
I saw that, I said, "You know what? That was freaking disturbing as shit." That really bothered me. I said, looking at the face on Chauvin, I couldn't believe the look on his face. It was evil. So I said to
Yeah.
myself that night, I was thinking about it. I said, "You know what? When I get back to work, I'm gonna watch that video because maybe there's more to this than meets the eye that I know about." On May
Mhm.
30th, I go into the station, I go sit at a desk, I log in to do my FTO work. So what field training sergeants do is we're in charge of the FTOs and in charge of a recruit that's going through field training. So we have to do what they call a weekly when it comes to field training. So the FTO does what they call a daily observation report every day in training for a week. At the end of the week, I do my field training sergeant's weekly report based on everything they did. So I went in to do the weekly. So I sat down, and behind me, sitting behind me at another desk, was my lieutenant, who becomes the chief after the other ones were demoted. She was the one they made chief, and she demoted them back down to rank. All the bad players that did the crap to
Mhm.
me, and then they all wind up retiring.
So this
So
chief actually
her,
had your back. This chief
well,
was trying to do the right thing, right? Like she said, "Look, check out this video."
no, actually, first she told the city manager, all the people that were made new chief and deputy chiefs told the city manager they were going to help clear my name from the bullshit the
Okay.
former chief did, right?
Right.
So this lieutenant who became a chief, along with the person, the female sergeant, field training sergeant, who told me to watch the video, who became the deputy chief, both of them go talk to the supervisors union, and that's when they conspired to do my internal and then try to have me fired. My same lieutenant, I get this crap. She's sitting behind me. I go to log in the computer. I go to log in to watch the video. I have the volume up, and as I'm watching the video, I'm like, "Oh shit." I turn around and look at her, and she's looking over my shoulder, and she says, "I heard about this, but I've never seen it." Same one who tried to have me fired as a chief. So I couldn't believe it. So after I watched it, I left it alone, did my field training work, and walked out of the station. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't believe what I saw. A fellow sergeant dude with citizens of Joliet. Now, as good cops like we're supposed to be, we do not mistreat people. I don't care if you're a gangbanger, drug dealer, whatever you are. It is not my job to judge anybody. Our job is to make the arrest on probable cause or reasonable suspicion. And if we know, we have all the facts to charge them.
Right. Right.
That's all I see it as. That's all I've ever treated people. I treat people the way I want to be treated. I don't care what you are, who you are. I'm still, hey man, look, it's only my job. I used to get in the squad car, hey man, arrest somebody. Hey, what kind of music do you want to hear on the way to the station? That's the kind of
Right.
police officer I was. I was
And
never,
that's good policing, right? Because
yeah,
we're there to be non-biased. We're there, to enforce the law and stuff. And occasionally, we're also there to show compassion, right? Otherwise, why not just replace
bingo,
us with machines, right? So,
compassion.
to hold bias and stuff like that on people, it's bad policing, right?
And a
And
lot of officers do it.
right, a lot of officers do it, but people like you and I, like that show compassion and understand where people are coming from. People are just people, and we have to treat everybody the way that we want to be treated. Is what makes good policing, you know.
It does. It's the
And
golden rule.
right. So there's this chief that used to be the FTO also, well, field training sergeant, right? Also, she wanted you to watch the video, and then after you decided to make a thing out of it, she tried to fire you for it?
Yeah, so here, we'll go with the story. So I wind up watching the video. I can't sleep now.
Huh?
So I actually wake up crying. I'm a Catholic. I love God. And on the job, like I said, the golden rule, treat those the way you want to be treated. A lot of officers didn't like it. the way I handle things, even as a sergeant. Hey, man, don't mistreat that person. They're somebody's son, daughter,
Yeah.
whatever. Treat them the way you
Yeah.
want your family to be treated by the police. So I couldn't sleep. And my wife's like, what's wrong? And I said, nothing. And I said, I just watched something very disturbing. So I'm waiting and waiting. I'm praying on it, man. I'm praying on like, what do I need to do? So during this time, it's during COVID. So it's around June. I am looking.
What
Now,
year? What year is this?
this is 2020.
Okay.
So I'm looking to buy popcorn. I'm on patrol on days. I'm a patrol day sergeant, right? So I go past this place and I see this gourmet popcorn place that I always wanted to have popcorn for. It just opened. I'm like, man, I'm going to get some mixed popcorn, cheese and caramel. So I go look at the sign. It says Monday, Tuesday closed, Wednesday open at 9. It was Tuesday. It's like, oh, man, I can't get no popcorn. So you know what? I'm going to go to the Walgreens down the street and I'm going to mix good old Jay's cheese popcorn with caramel corn and have my fix right till tomorrow. So I walk in and I go to the where popcorn's at, and I go, oh, wow, okay. And I look over, and I go, oh, wow, cheese combos, 2 for $5. F it. I'm going to get the cheese combos because I don't want the garbage popcorn. I want the good shit tomorrow, right? So I get in line, man, and I'm in line. And I remember this like yesterday because you remember the truth. When people lie, the story changes, right? My story's never changed. So I'm waiting in line. And this dude comes back and he goes, I'm sorry, Sergeant. I had forgot my credit card. I'm sorry for cutting in front of you. I'm going, no, dude, you're not cutting in front of me. Do what you got to do. I just started. I said, I'm here until 5 in the afternoon. You know, it's a 12-hour day for me. I got all day. It's about, a little before 9 in the morning. So then a lady taps me on the shoulder. And I turn around and I see dark curly hair and dark brown skin. So she could have been black. She could have been Hispanic. Don't know because she has lighter brown skin, right? Or darker brown skin. And she's got what I thought was a little girl with her. All I saw was yellow dreadlocks. So you can't tell a boy or girl because we got masks on. I just knew this woman was beautiful. I could see her eyes. And she says, hey, Sarge, my son wants to say something to you. So I get that. I go, oh, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I thought it was a girl because of the mask. So I get down on my knees and I go, hey, little man, what's up? And he says, puts his arm around me and whispers in my ear, thank you. I
Wow.
almost cried. I almost cried.
Yeah.
And I said, ma'am, could I hug your son? I said, you don't know what you both did for me today. I said, you're both my angels. I know now what I have to do. God answered my
Right.
prayer. So
Yeah.
I got my combos and not even thinking about getting her name. I go to the squad car, go to one of my hiding places on days to go have my combos. And I'm crying. And I said, you know what? They put Jesus on the cross, right? They nailed him to the cross. Not before that, they whipped him, put a crown of thorns on him, made him carry that cross 3 miles, and then they nailed it to him, nailed him
Yeah.
to the cross. He
Yeah.
suffered more than any of us would ever suffer in a lifetime. I said to myself, you know what? I know what I have to do. They can't do anything worse to me than they did to Jesus. It's that simple. So June 10th now,
They
I
come
go back
close.
to work and I'm doing my FTO work. It's like at 9 in the morning. I'm on the computer doing FTO work. And one of the captains, there's only two captains left because they phased them out. And one of the 2 captains comes up. He was a good guy, a friend of mine. And he says to me, shame, shame. And I go, what? Captain Larson wants to talk to you. He was in charge of the FTO program, that captain. So I go in his office and I say to him, hey, what's going on? He says, I got a report here from Deputy Chief so-and-so that you watched a video twice that was locked. Oh, not locked. Watched a video twice that was, get this, that was, they used the term not marked. They used the term that was flagged. The video was flagged. So he gives me this report and it shows that only person that watched it was that deputy chief who at the time was in internal affairs before he was deputy chief. And it has me twice logging in. I said, watch the flagged video. I never heard of a flagged video in my entire career. Well, the deputy chief wants you to write an inter-office memorandum as to why you watched the video twice. I said, okay. So I step out. I go outside to think about what I'm going to do. And that field training sergeant, the female who told me to watch the video, I see her and I say, hey, this is what Captain Larson wants. She says to me, tell him everything that's on that video. So a friend of mine who just became a sergeant comes up and a fellow JBPOA member says, what's going on? I explain it to him. He goes, you know what? Do exactly what she said. Tell that captain what you saw in that video. He's in charge of the field training program. He should know.
Mhm. Right.
So I go in his office. I go, hey, Captain, I need to tell you about what's on that video. It's very disturbing. He says, shut up. Don't say another word. Just write an inter-office memorandum. Make it short and brief. I go to close the door. I said, Captain, you're my supervisor in the field training program. You're in charge and you're my superior. I need to tell you exactly what I saw in that video involving my recruit and his FTO. He says, shut the F up. I don't want to F and hear it. Inter-office memorandum, short and brief. So I write the
They don't wanna
inter-office
know. Yeah, they don't wanna know. They don't wanna know.
Yep, right into your office memorandum. So I'm waiting, hoping the department does the right thing, that they do a real investigation. Because at the time, they handed the investigation over to what they call the Will Grundy County Task Force. Now, there's members of all different agencies from Will and Grundy County detectives on this task force. So they're to investigate anything involving like officer shootings, so they claim it's not biased. But yet,
Mhm,
there are detectives from each agency on that task force. So get this, the detective, lieutenant, and the sergeant that investigated me and brought up my false charges against me of official misconduct, that sergeant was on the task force. You tell me what's wrong with that. But anyways, comes up, I'm waiting. July 1st of 2020, the chief at the time, Rochner, and the chief, one of his deputy chiefs, Gavin, they handpicked clergy that are their friends from Joliet and their buddy Joe Hosey from the Herald News, and they have a meeting. They show them an edited video. In the video, they completely cut out all the audio. So when it gets to the part where they slap Eric Lurie, the sergeant, they pause it and say, that is a technique we train people to do in combatives. It's called the stunner. Where do you teach that? Like I told you earlier, in first aid. I was a combatives instructor before I was a sergeant. We don't teach people to slap people for first aid. So they said it was a stunner move. So you know this thing called, you ever hear the thing about called groupthink? You know what that is? So if we got a group of 10 people and I show you a video with no audio, I go, hey, check that out. Do you see that? And say they show an officer shooting somebody and the dude has no gun in his hand. See the gun? See the gun? And there's no gun there, right? And all the people
yeah.
are like, oh yeah, he had a gun. He had a gun. What do you think,
Yeah,
Joe?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I see the
yeah,
gun. And it was never there. So
yeah.
they tell these people, the clergy, they tried to save him. You see that? It was first aid. They tried to save Eric Lurie. And the clergy's like, oh, yeah, they tried to do first aid and save him. They lied to them. So I get a phone call from somebody, like I can't name who it is because, it was a friend. And they tell me that they just lied to a bunch of clergy. So I call my friend who's an attorney.
Well, that's why they edited the video to fit their narrative, right? So they could show
Exactly.
the good part, like the quote unquote okay parts of it, where it shows that, oh look, they're trying, right? Meanwhile, they don't show that the guy's holding his nose, the guy's calling names. And they knew that he was chewing on it to begin with. It's crazy.
Yeah. So then I got the call. So I called my friend who's my defense attorney, Jeff Tomzak. Awesome attorney. He was the state's attorney of Will County at one time. Very honest, hardworking man. Probably the best attorney in Will County or best attorney you will find as a defense attorney. I've known him for a long time. So I contacted him and say, hey, Jeff, I need to talk to you. So I got a hold of him and told him, hey, this is what's going on. I got this video. I need to contact somebody and I need to have a defense attorney because I think they're going to go after me.
Mhm.
Contacted Channel 2, Dave Savini, unscripted, met somewhere, showed him the video. And that's where that interview came out July 1st, 2020, where I blew the whistle on what happened to Eric Lurie. And I explained how they did everything wrong. They didn't get him medical attention. They actually had 4 or 5 chances to get him medical attention, and they didn't. In the lawsuit by the Lurie family, it's in there. And that's why they won their lawsuit because they violated not only that man's rights, they also violated the fact that policy says get him medical attention. He
That's
would have
crazy.
lived. They're claiming no, he had so much drugs in him, he would have died anyways. No. Like you
They
said,
could have
there's
saved
not
him. Yeah,
they could have saved him, but they were too
yeah,
busy wanting to get him charged for having drugs. They didn't care
right.
about the
Well,
compassion.
they had the mentality that he's a perp and that he was faking it, and, it comes out to bite them in the ass that, no, he's not faking it, and he could have been saved. Once you came out with this and he's what did they do? What like, how did they retaliate against you? Because what I went through was bad evaluations and then reassignments, and they exhaust you physically, then they exhaust you mentally, then they try to get you depressed, they endorse you financially with all the lawsuits and all that stuff, and then, they moving for the kill. So, like, what do they do to you?
Oh, God. So to me, I didn't hear anything until June 6th. July 6th. I'm sorry, July 6th. So no one called me. I didn't hear anything from the police department. I would go shopping, do grocery shopping. I ran into a couple of officers while off duty. And as I looked at them, they looked at me and one gave me a look like he wanted to kill me. He was a detective that I used to be friends with. who really changed over the years. Once he became a detective sergeant, he acted like nobody was better than him. He gave me this dirty look along with his wife, like I had killed somebody, like I'm the one that killed Eric Lurie. So June 6th, I'm sorry, I keep saying June, July 6th, 2020. So 6 days after I blew the whistle, IA comes to my home and they come and get my badge, my gun, my gear, and my take-home SUV. Because in Joliet, we have take-home squad cars. And then he hands me a notice saying that I'm officially on administrative leave and that when I go back to work tomorrow, July 7th, I am to meet them in the chief's conference room. So I go back to work the next day, not in uniform, in a suit, because now they took my alleged police powers, which you and I both know there's no such thing as real power. That badge is just a symbol.
So this is suspension. Like we get suspended, right? So this is like suspension with or without pay.
Okay, so now remember, police officer Bill of Rights. You don't get suspended until after your internal and they find you guilty of something. They put me
Uh,
on administrative leave. So I go to the
It's
station on the 7th, and there I am now with internal affairs. And first, they hand me a letter saying that I cannot make contact with these people. 3 of them are fellow sergeants and an officer, including the sergeant who actually suffocated Eric Lurie. I can't make contact with them. I'm like, okay, whatever. So then there was a pending internal on me, the first one in my career where I had an actual real internal, because I had spoken up about nepotism on the police department.
wow.
Yeah, so they nepotism, and there was an issue with some position that they gave to one of their friends with nepotism. So that day, they decided to finally finish this internal, and they gave me a day off, a written reprimand, and a day off for it. The chief told me, the chief was in there, why didn't you just come talk to me? I was like, what the hell was that about? So he leaves. Now, mind you, I have my FOP attorney with me for this one, not my defense attorney yet, because this was, internal. So he leaves. Now, like, what the hell? So then the internal affairs tells me, you're going to sit at this desk. So they take me to a desk. So you have to go, when you go into the records area, you got to have a code to get in the door. Supervisors have a code, and just the civilians that work there. So they punched the code and they put me at a desk that had garbage on it. It had old radios, computer screens, and there was a monkey hanging from it, stuffed monkey. They said, you're going to sit here every day from 8 to 4, and you're to do nothing but do whatever you want other than work. Play video games, watch movies, whatever, but you're not to do anything but that, and you get an hour for lunch. So
And
they
you're,
put me
you're
right
still on a payroll. You're still on a payroll though. You're
I'm still
still
getting
getting
paid.
paid for it.
Yeah, still getting
And you
paid.
said FOP as in Fraternal Order of Police is a national fraternal organization for police officers, right? They provide a
That,
lawyer.
yeah, and that's
All right.
also our union.
Okay.
It's
Because
also
in NYPD, also in NYPD, they suspend you first. Then they do the investigation and everything. Like it's crazy. Yeah. They usually suspend you 30 days without pay, and then they only could do that for 30 days, but then there's a loophole where they could resuspend you another 30 days without pay. It's crazy.
See, with us, they have to follow a certain protocol. So they put me in this place to sit because they knew supervisors would key in and they'd walk past me. They knew civilians were going to walk past me. And boy, they thought by doing that, they were going to make me eat my gun because supervisors and officers that I knew would walk by and I'd look up at them to say hello. They would give me this dirty look. They wanted to kill me.
Yeah, they're shaming
Everybody.
you. Yeah. Yeah, they're
Everybody.
shaming you.
And there was a few civilians that are good people that actually came up to me and said, you did the right thing. And one of them, I'm not going to name her because I don't want her to get, them to retaliate if she's still there. Great woman. I was always good friends with her. She would talk to me every day when I was sitting there because she would do work. She was a records person. Everybody else walked by me and give me a dirty look. So I sat up there for a month. I think it was like, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, a month. So it was July. Yeah, a month. And then I cleaned off that desk after the first week. I said, this, I'm not garbage like the garbage on my desk. I cleaned
Mhm.
off all the shit, brought pictures that were in my locker, my Star Wars pictures, a police cookie jar. And then that monkey that they had on my desk, I took pictures of it. I put the hands over the eyes, over the mouth and the ears.
Yeah, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Yeah.
So then I sat there now with the clean desk. I'm like, I'm not garbage. So then they decided to move me because so you're going to love this. So the sergeant that suffocated and eventually killed Eric Lurie, and they claim he did it, you're not supposed to be able to get promoted or move to a different position, according to policy, if you are on administrative leave or if you're on duty injury. So other sergeants put in for a position. It's the sergeant in charge of equipment. So my former classmate in the academy, who's a sergeant, was going to retire. He had that position. And in order to get into his office, you have to use the code of the door, walk past me to get to that office. So even my classmate from the academy, that was good friends up until I blew the whistle, ghosted me, gave me dirty looks. So get this. They put out an inter-office memorandum per email. Anybody interested in his position as the supply sergeant and all that stuff, put in for it. Policy says you cannot put in for a position if you're on administrative leave or if you're on ODI, right? Other sergeants put in for it. They decided they were going to move me to traffic away from there. Because guess who they gave the position to? The sergeant who suffocated Eric Lurie. They gave
That's
him position.
crazy. This is another like F you to your face. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So
It's
give him a
crazy.
position. So then other sergeants filed a grievance with the supervisors union. So the dirty supervisors union, so the president of the supervisors union, who eventually moved to vote to kick me out of the supervisors union, went to every officer that filed a grievance, every sergeant, and told them, hey man, let him have the position. We're trying to take care of our boy. So they pulled their grievances so he could have that position.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so not only that, so now they moved me to traffic. So I'm down there, and the officers were good to me that were there. Even the sergeant was cool. They didn't act like assholes towards me. And several of the civilian personnel that were there were good. They were really nice, girls I've known for a long time. So I'm down there just to help answer phones, which I'm surprised they let me do that. So on my desk, I put on the wall different Psalms from the Bible. Psalm 23, you know what that says, right? So Psalm 23 says, I walk through the valley of death, I fear no evil, rod and thy staff comfort me. I had it on the wall written out to keep strength so that I knew to stay strong and that God was
Right.
with
So
me.
how long did they keep this up for before you put in a lawsuit and stuff?
Oh no. So remember, I blew the whistle July 1st, took my
Mhm.
badge and my gun July 6th. They had me up in the front desk doing nothing for over a month. They then moved me to traffic. October 21st of 2020, a phone call rings in the office, and the sergeant in traffic says, hey, they want you upstairs in the chief's conference room. And I look at the sergeant, I say, I don't know why they're calling me. They're going to have me arrested. Sure as shit. I go upstairs. They hand me a warrant, 2 charges of official misconduct. They hand me this warrant as I'm upstairs. And I looked at it and I laughed. So I'm going to name these people because one of them is named in my lawsuit. Both dirty officers. So the first one is Lieutenant Joe Aguizio. When he retired, he called himself Joe Justice Aguizio. So he was ordered, told by the chief, Rochner, to investigate me and charge me with crimes. So when they wrote the original police report against me to investigate me for what I did, the very first line on a handwritten report written by former Deputy Chief Mark Reed, who is now the chief of Elwood PD in Illinois, he wrote the first line said on the report to start my investigation, watched a locked video. So here we go. I laughed at the damn warrant, and then Joe says to me, what's so funny? I'm your lieutenant, respect me. I looked at him, I went, ha, and laughed in his face. I said, you guys are something.
And these were felony charges, right?
Yeah, felony charge of official misconduct. Wait, it was two only. They started off with two. It gets better. So, as I'm sitting there, the sergeant that helped him investigate me, Tizo Landeros, he was originally one of the guys in charge, you're going to love this, of the Will Grundy County Task Force when they investigated the Lurie case.
Right. It's
You know,
always the same actors. That
yeah,
that's what amazes me, right? Like the similarities in everyone, all us whistleblowers, lamplighters, whistleblowers, like in all our stories, is always the same actors. It's always, like the same tactics. They try to dirty you up. They try to break you mentally, and then they try to destroy you financially by tying you up in court and stuff like that. Now you gotta spend money to fight your case. Now you gotta spend money to get justice, to get recuperation and clear your name and stuff like that. And it's always the same actors. Even in my cases, right? Like up to the point, even like when I'm in criminal court and the DA calls for the video, the DAs have their own cops, right?
of course.
And right, in comes in with that cop or with that detective, the DA's detective, is one of the IAB cops that used to work under me, right? Now I was trying to expose, the group that I was trying to expose that was harassing me. And I'm like, why is he touching the evidence against me? He should have excluded himself and be like, listen, I know this guy, I can't have anything with this case. It's called Chinese wall, right? Put up the Chinese wall. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to isolate yourself and be like, listen, I don't want this to be tainted bias or whatever. But the cops that came out to investigate me, the cops that came out to investigate my case and then the incident and all that stuff, well, no more the people I was suing. Out of 30,000 cops, you're gonna tell me that you don't have anybody that I'm not suing? Because there was only like maybe like um the group was maybe like 50 people in there or whatever, right? That I was suing, out of 30,000 cops. And then they use the same cops. It's just crazy. It's just and the crazier part is they get away with it. They've been
And
doing it
that's
for
it.
so long. They get away with it. But go ahead. It's just
Yeah, so
yeah.
they both hand me this thing and they tell me, "We're gonna take you downstairs, fingerprint you, and photograph you, and you're gonna bond out." I said, "No, I'm not." "You're gonna bond out." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm going to jail." I said, "Because I wanna talk to that judge and let them know exactly what's going on in Kendall County." Because remember, Joliet's 2 counties, Will County and Joliet. Even though Eric Lurie took place in Will County, they had me charged in Kendall County. What happened was they had me charged in Kendall County when Eric Lurie was murdered in Will County.
Wow.
So
Okay.
they did that because Kendall County, every time an officer that really did commit a crime or did something, they go to Kendall County because they know that they'll push it. For some reason, in Will County, the state's attorney will never charge a bad officer.
Wow.
And this goes back a long time. The state's attorney, the current one, who should retire soon, he's been the state's attorney forever. When I came on, he was a state's attorney. And back in the day, 2 officers did commit some crimes. And when he had them charged, the FOP Supervisors Union and the FOP Patrol Officers Union did not endorse him. So he didn't win to become state's attorney again for a long time. Eventually, he ran again and they endorsed him. So he's been state's attorney forever now. Same
Oh, so
guy.
he's trying to keep his position doing by favoring police officers.
So there have been so many incidents over the years where officers of Joliet, Crest Hill, Will County have killed unarmed people. Okay. And they're never found that they did anything wrong.
That's crazy.
Yep, and it goes on, and that's why they didn't charge me in Will County. They charged me in Kendall County. Oh, then when I'm there, they say, "Oh, someone wants to talk to you." They walk out, and 2 FBI agents walk in. They walk in and go, "Hey, I'm Agent so and so, Agent so and so. Here's my card. If you want to talk to us, please give me a call." How the hell did they know I was being charged by the Joliet Police Department? And why did they want to talk to me? What did they think I was going to do? I'll talk to you, but I'm not talking to them and give up my Fifth Amendment, I mean, yeah, plead the Fifth
Right.
Amendment right?
Yeah.
Oh. So I was like, "No, sorry, I'm not talking to you. For all I know, you guys are in on it with them." Come to find out, at the time, the president of the Police Supervisors Union was good friends and played basketball in college with, get this, the U.S. attorney in our area.
God,
I got a
man.
picture of all of them together, along with
Yeah.
Glasgow, all the players, including the lieutenant and the FOP president, all of them together at an event.
That's crazy.
Lieutenant of the drug unit that was involved with the Eric Lurie case. So, anyways, so I go downstairs, they fingerprint me and stuff, and then they say, and I start laughing. They go, "What's so funny? This isn't a game." So Tizo says to me, "This isn't a game, Butch." And I said, "You tell that piece of shit, Chief Al Roachner, he started this game, play ball." And I put my hands out. "Go ahead, cuff me. We're going to jail." Yeah.
So then
So
what
then
happened?
they cuff me and they throw me in the backseat of unmarked car and they drive me from the East Station. It's about 45 minutes to the Kendall County Jail because we take up Will County and far west where I live in Kendall County. So from my house far west to the Kendall County Jail is about 30 something minutes. From the east side of Joliet, it's almost an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to the jail. So I'm cuffed behind my back like a criminal. They want me to be. I go to jail. They check me in. They already knew who I was. So this big built Kendall County deputy wearing camouflage because he's one of them CERT officers in the jail. In case shit goes down, they put on their riot gear and quash
Yeah.
whatever's
Yeah.
going on. They check me in. So before they do my paperwork, they pat search me and everything, take all my shit, my cell phone, wallet, and all that. They give me a green. So
Yeah.
they open the cell, and there's another dude sleeping, and all there is in this little cell is a concrete slab and that 3-in-1 fucking toilet. You know what I'm talking about? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Did you have
Yeah,
that
yeah,
when you
yeah.
were at?
It's a sink, it's a toilet, it's everything.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
in one. Who the hell's
Yeah.
gonna drink water out of that thing? I'm
Yeah.
not. Fecal matter. So anyways, so this Dude is laying there and he looks at me and he was a male white and had the cleanest socks I ever seen. Bright white socks, dude. Bright white. And he had on jeans and a white t-shirt that had outlines of bicycles in different colors. He had short white hair, almost like a buzz cut, a band-aid on his nose. I remember this dude. He's gonna go in my book when I write it. So he says to me, "Hey sir, I'll move over for you." I said, "No, dude, go ahead and sleep. I'll just sit up with my nasty ass mattress." So I sat up on the slab while he was sleeping, and I was just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, singing to myself. And then this dude gets up and he goes, "Hey man, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, dude, how about you?" He goes, "Man," he goes, "what are you in for?" I said, "How about this, man? What's your name?" He says, "Shane." I said, "Shane, as in the book Shane?" He goes, "Yeah, my dad named me after the character Shane in the book." So I think it's of Mice and Men, if I'm correct, or just Shane. I said, "My name's Javier Esqueda. Nice to meet you, man." I shook his hand and he puts his glasses on and I said, "Hey, dude, what's with the Band-Aid?" He goes, "Oh, I had some cancer and they cut it off of my nose." And I go,
Terrible.
"Shane, so what are you in for before I tell you my screwed up story?" He goes, "Dude, I was sleeping at home last night and they came and busted my door in for a traffic warrant." And I believe the dude because we know people they're lying, right? He
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
traffic
yeah.
warrant. They booted his fucking door in for a traffic warrant. And so he goes, "Here I am. I got to go to court at 1 o'clock and hopefully they'll give me a bond again." "What are you here for?" I go, "Dude, you really want to hear this story?" I said, "Would you believe I'm a sergeant for Joliet PD?" He's like, "What?" "No." I said, "Dude, yeah." And I told him my story. He goes, "Wow, it's like a freaking bad movie, isn't it?"
Yeah.
I said, "Shane, I'm never gonna forget you. You're gonna be in my book, brother." And I said, "Let me tell you, Shane, if I had a car right now and I got out with you, I'd give you a ride home, or you and I would go to a bar and have a drink and talk about the fucked up shit that they do to us." He's like, "Dude, you're something else." I said, "Man, this is the way I've always been. It doesn't matter who I treat everybody the way I want to be treated. You're a human being
So
like
what
I am."
happened when you saw the judge?
So no, it gets better. So I don't go see the judge yet. So they call me out. You're gonna love this more dirty crap that went on with law enforcement. So I come out. And here's this freaking big brawly freaking sword officer. And here's a new recruit that they're training how to do the paperwork in the jail. They go down the freaking arrest list and they go employment. And I tell the recruit, I say, "Hey man, Joliet police sergeant, 27 years." The FTO tells him, "No, put unemployed."
What?
Put unemployed. And I look at the recruit, I said, "27 years, Javier Esqueda, Joliet police training, field training sergeant." FTO says again, "No, put unemployed." I said, "Look, young man," and I look at the FTO, "do not start off your career lying on an official police document.
Yeah,
What did I
yeah.
tell you?" And I look at the FTO, I said, "Shame on you for telling him unemployed. You do realize, Mr. FTO, that I have not been fired. I'm still currently employed by the Joliet Police Department. They can't fire me until they do an internal or I'm convicted of a felony." So with that said, young man, Sergeant Esqueda, field training sergeant, 27 years. I look at the FTO, he says, "Officer, do exactly what he said." Dude, come on. Try
Crazy,
to
yeah.
screw this kid over his first
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
month on the job. So after they fill out the paperwork, they told me, "Oh, you can go use the phone to make a phone call." Okay, cool. I get on the phone, dude. I dial my wife. It's busy. Call the home phone. Guess what? Call my attorney. Call my best friend.
What's
I'm
going
like,
on with that phone, bro?
they do it on purpose so you can't get a hold of anybody. Could you imagine all the guys that they have locked up there and they can't call their attorneys?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
messed
yeah.
up. So I go back to my cell. They take Shane out. He goes to court, comes back. "Hey, man, nice meeting you." They let me bond out. I bond. Good to go, brother. So I'm sitting in the cell now by myself. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. I get to see the judge in the morning. I'm not going to bond out. I want the judge to know my side of the story. So I'm sitting there. So now the time change for the jailers is in. So a young man comes to the door. I think his last name was like Abel or something. He opens the door. He goes, "Hey, Sarge." I said, "Sarge?" He goes, "Yeah, we all know your story. And those of us that are good cops, we know it's all bullshit." He
Yeah.
goes, "You couldn't make a phone call, right?" I said, "How'd you know that?" He goes, "You have your cell? Don't you with you?" I said, "Well, you guys took it." He goes, "Here's your cell phone. Make all the phone calls you need to make."
Wow. Wow, looked out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I called my wife and everybody. And then next thing you know, like I think several hours later, they said, "Hey," Abel says, "Hey, man, there's someone here to see you. I think it's your attorney." Matter of fact, it is your attorney. I said, "Okay." So they get me out of the cell. They go, "Walk over there and turn right." So as I walk, like in those movies you see from jail where there's the glass windows, you talk
Yeah, yeah,
between
yeah, the visitor's box. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
past that and I look and he's not there. So around the corner is where they tell me to go. So the first thing I think of, they're gonna fucking kill me. So you know how we're taught when you clear a room, instead of going high, look down low real quick and then go
Yeah,
around,
yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I go low to look, and my attorney's like, "What the F are you doing? Get up!" And they call me Butch on the police department, so my friend Jeff would always call me Butch also. "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Jeff, I thought they were gonna kill me." Because "That's why you need to get out of here." And he says, "I have your money to bond out." And I said, "Oh, that's great, Jeff. I had a credit card, which I paid off just in case they did this shit to me." He goes, "Well, get the fuck out of here then." I go, "I'm outside with Dave Savini and your wife from Channel 2," and I said, he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Look, I'm Nelson Mandela. I wanna be a voice and have my voice heard in court by the judge because this is bullshit." He goes, "No, Butch, you don't wanna stay here." I said, "But I already asked what they're having for dinner. I think it was chicken or some shit." He goes, "Get out of here, bond out." So I
And they only
bonded out.
serve chicken, like, once a week.
Exactly. I had a good day, man. I was gonna have chicken if it was any
Yeah,
good, right? And they're
yeah.
probably gonna give me my orange jumpsuit while I was at it. So I bonded out and out and I talked to Dave Savini in the news. So now I am on administrative leave at home. Okay. Still getting paid. So
So you
this is
bonded out.
yeah, I bonded out. So
Okay.
October 21st it happened. So what I didn't know until later on. So at the time the mayor was Mayor Bob Odenkirk. Really good guy. Used to be a police officer. Matter of fact, when he was a rookie, he rode with me. So he was a good guy, hardworking officer. He got screwed over on the department when he put in for the FBI, DEA. A captain that didn't like him blackballed him with federal agencies. So he sued the department and the city gave him money. Not only that, but they paid for him to go to law school to become an attorney. He became an attorney, went off with Blackwater, for a year and a half to go do a detail in Iraq as a police officer to help train other people,
Yeah,
Iraqi officers, whatever.
yeah.
Comes back, runs for mayor, becomes mayor. When all this went on, Oderkirk writes a letter to the Attorney General of Illinois, which is Kwame Raoul, who was still the Attorney General. And in the letter, he wanted all the council members to sign it. The council members got to watch the video before it was released to the clergy. Remember when they tried to cover it up? They found out that I had watched the video twice. So they wanted to see what it was about. So they watched it. Only 3 council members out of 8 and the mayor signed that letter. In that letter, it stated he wanted Kwame Raoul requested that he investigate the Eric Lurie case as well as what they were doing to me. So you're gonna love this. That letter said it went to Kwame. He sends a letter back and says to the city of Joliet and the mayor's office and so forth, we need all information in reference to the Eric Lurie case, as well as to what they're doing to Sergeant Esqueda. What does the police department do? That letter says by October 16th. They gave them everything, but they waited until the 16th to have me arrested.
That's crazy. But
Yeah, so
you know
that,
what? You were blessed with at least people that wanted to help, right? Like, the mayor and 3 at least you had 3 city council members. Here in New York, it's just it goes under the radar, like, no politicians wanna touch it,
see, and
you know?
that's what the problem is. If you had good people that would open their mouth to try to help good officers, wouldn't be in the
Yeah,
situation that we're in.
right, exactly.
So now I'm on administrative leave at home. So the city manager at the time was Caparelli and Bob Odenkirk's the mayor. They didn't want me to sit at home getting paid. Because it wasn't the city, it wasn't the mayor, it was the city manager. That's not right that I'm sitting home getting paid after what they did to me. So they wanted me to come back to work. Well, they were very aware that if they put me back at the police department, I may get harmed, right? So instead they assigned me to City Hall to business services with a great group of people. It
Okay.
was all women that worked in there, but they were all women of God and they were all great people. They knew what I was going through. They never mistreated me. I did miscellaneous work for them, which was a lot of work, but it helped them out a lot because that would have been on them to do that work. And it was a lot of stuff that I learned. Long story short, so I was assigned to business services and I was there almost, it was a year and a half, maybe, yeah, a year and a half, almost 2 years from April of 2021 to 22, August, over a year till about July 20th of 22, I retired. I retired July 20th of 22. So I was still getting paid, working in business services Monday through Friday. I think it was 8 to 4. Yeah, 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. I can't remember the exact hours.
So, with your department, right, your retirement, are you eligible for retirement after 20 years like NYPD
Yes.
or you
After
guys have to
20
hit a
years,
certain age?
after 20 years, you have to have 20 years and at least 50 years of age.
So, your retirement is already locked in, right? Like, they can't
Yep.
take that away. So,
Unless I'm
because you had 27 years at the time, right? Now, when you retired saying that you had 29 years, right? Because like, 2022, right? It's 29
Yeah.
years, right?
So
On the job?
28 years and 11 months. 1
Oh, wow.
month shy of another bump in my pension, which is
Right, right,
only
right.
2.5%, which at 55, I would gain. So when I retired, I was 52. We have what they call a COLA, cost of living
Uh,
raise.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, every year after 55, you get a 3% raise every year compounded till you
Right.
die.
Right, right, right.
So I lost 2.5%, but I retired at 52. At 55, I got like a 9% or something big bump in
Yeah,
raise. Then every
yeah.
year, 3% after that. So I was still getting my pension, thank God, because I wasn't convicted or I wasn't fired. So during
Okay, so
this time,
you beat the felony charges in court,
not yet,
right? Not
not
yet.
yet.
Okay, so that's still going on.
Right. So now when
Wow.
I'm on administrative leave, I'm sorry, now when I'm back, the chief, who was my lieutenant, she's the chief now. So mind you, after all this happened and the new city manager comes in, Caparelli, he decides he's gonna make my lieutenant, that field training sergeant, the female told me to watch the video, a deputy chief, and 3 other people deputy chiefs, right? They all say they're gonna help clear my name. Supervisors union comes and talks to them, acts like they're buddy buddy with her. The supervisors union would talk behind her back when she was a lieutenant and say she was useless as a lieutenant.
Yeah, a lot of the guys do that. Male chauvinist
Yep,
pig
she
stuff.
went in for deputy chief when Al Roachner and Reed and them were deputy chiefs, when they were looking for one, and they laughed at her. Now all of a sudden she's a chief. Now the supervisors union likes her because they're going to use her. They tried to push Egizio through her administration as a deputy chief. So she tried to make him deputy chief without permission of the city manager. Puts the paperwork in. HR gets it and goes, what is this shit? HR says, you can't do that without permission of the city manager. She says, no, the supervisors union told me I'm a chief. I can do whatever I want. City manager says, no, you can't. He is not going to be a deputy chief. So they start my internal. City manager says, no, leave him alone. I believe he's a whistleblower. She says, okay. They do my internal. They then find that I am guilty or found that I violated 16 policies because the guy that they hired, D'Onofrio, mind you, D'Onofrio now is the city attorney. He's what they call what do they call him? He was like the attorney that investigates corruption in the city. I can't think of what they call it. Not the city attorney, but he's something else.
Like
So
inspector
that's what he
general
does.
or DOI.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
So he says that I'm guilty of 16 policies. So he says, look, leave him alone. You can't do anything to him. Gotta wait till his criminal charges are cleared or he's convicted. What does the chief do? The female chief? And I'm gonna name her because her name's Malik. She goes to one of the city council women, Reardon, and gives her my internal. Nobody's supposed to get that. Gives her my internal, trying to garner the city council to push to have me fired. City manager finds out, he goes to fire her from being the chief. Well, he can't just fire her because what he could do is fire her as the chief, but she has to go back to rank of lieutenant.
Yeah, demoter.
Right, demote her back to lieutenant. So she eventually gets demoted back to lieutenant. So she winds up retiring because she doesn't want to be a lieutenant again because she was a chief. Ooh, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now they hire a chief from the outside. All right, his name is Evans. He was supposed to be a good guy. So when I go and retire, Evans gives me my retirement ID that says retired from the police department and a letter saying that you should be proud of the 28 years
Yeah,
of work
we
in
call
the
it
Detroit Police Department, right?
yeah, we call it a good guy letter.
Yeah. Does that sound like I left in bad standing?
No, not at
Not
all.
at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So get this shit. So now I forgot this. I skipped this. December of 2020, after I was arrested October 21st, I get a phone call from my attorney. He says, guess what? They took your case to the grand jury without letting us know, and they added 2 more charges of official misconduct. 4 charges. So Agizio lied to the grand jury. In the script of the grand jury, the state's attorney at the time is Pilmer. I'm sorry, not Pilmer. That's the judge. Let me back up. Is Schlipka, Mark Schlipka. In the script, he asks Agizio, you're going to love this, brother. I mean, this is like a bad movie. He asks Agizio, was that video locked to Sergeant Esqueda? And Agizio says, no, the video was actually accessible to Sergeant Esqueda for some time. So him saying that shows they lied on the police report.
Yeah.
Gets better. So Schlipka hearing this knows, oh, shit, this isn't going my way. So he now goes around questioning in front of the grand jury. 4 different times he stops Agizio and says, wait a minute, Lieutenant Agizio, the video was in fact locked, wasn't it? When he watched it. And Agizio then says, yes, it was. 4 different times, dude, after Agizio already said it was not locked. So you know what they say about a grand jury, right? A grand jury will freaking indict a ham sandwich?
Yeah. Yeah, you can dye a ham sandwich, yeah.
Yep. That's what they did. They added 2 more charges.
So ultimately now, today, you beat those felony charges, correct?
Yeah, so what happened was we wound up going to court 4.5 years, and in between there, this state's attorney, the number two guy, not the elected state's attorney, so Schlipka and the judge was Pilmer. Every time my attorney, Tomzak, would present viable evidence, including exculpatory evidence, which was the police department's general order on in-car video. And on there, it says the job of a field training sergeant, and one of them is to watch video.
Yeah, of
And
course. Yeah.
part of watching video, if I find something that's illegal, immoral, or needs we could use for training, I can copy it.
Right. Right.
When he presented that to that judge, the judge said, "No, Mr. Tomzak, it's not viable.
What?
Exculpatory evidence." And they would look at each other, Schlipka and the judge, and they would smirk at each other. I never saw such a blatant injustice in the courtroom. They would smirk at each other. So get this. The reason I'm telling this story, 3.5 years, almost 4 years later, Schlipka is put on administrative leave. Guess what he was doing? He was fucking a girl that he was prosecuting. During this time that he's dating her, fucking her, he tells her, "Don't worry, hon, I'll take care of you. You take care of me." I got friend judges in my pocket.
That's
In my
crazy.
pocket. So he goes on administrative leave. That following Monday, it hits the paper that he resigned, and the state's attorney, number one elected state's attorney, Weiss, makes a statement to both papers, the Herald News and the Patch, saying that he resigned because of a misconduct or whatever, and he's pushing to have his law license revoked.
Mm-hmm.
What
Well,
happens
so
then later on? Now Weiss takes my case. This guy never even looked at the file because he relied on his number two guy to do
right, right,
everything.
right.
So now he's handling my case. We go to court, and Judge Pilmer, the original Mr. Tomzak, none of this is viable. We're gonna fuck
Yeah.
your defendant because we're
Right.
fucking.
Right. Right. Right.
He says to us, "Oh, guess what? I'm moving courtrooms. I'm not handling your case anymore."
How convenient.
How convenient, right? After
Yeah.
Schlipka admits he has judges in his pocket. We
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
judge. Let me tell you, this judge was God sent. God works at his own pace, right? Almost 4 years later, Judge Jody Gleason. What a judge. She's the judges you and I that know are honest judges. You knew right away she was an honest judge. Dude, this is where my case gets vindicated. We go to court. She looks at everything. There was like all these different motions that we motioned to the court to have heard.
Huh?
Judge Pilmer, they dragged it. They didn't want to hear any of the motions. Here we are almost
Right.
4.5 years later. This judge says, "We're going to listen to all the motions tomorrow in one day." Go back to
Nice.
court. She says, this, nope, 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 nope. And then my attorney says, "Judge Jody Gleason, Your Honor, here's some exculpatory evidence for you. Here is the in-car video policy that I tried handing to the other judge, and he refused it, saying that it wasn't exculpatory, that it wasn't viable." She looks at it, she goes, "Oh, really?" And she's like, she looks at it, she looks at the state's attorney. She then says, and then he says, "There's a current Supreme Court case that is similar to my client's case that was just found and it was just heard." And she says, "Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that case. Absolutely, Mr. Tomzak." She looks at the state's attorney and she says, "Why are there 4 charges of official misconduct?" He's like, "Well, I." She says, "Nope, nope, nope." She says, "Mr. State's attorney, you are responsible. You're going to have to prove everything's thrown out except for this charge. You're going to have to prove that he watched a locked video."
Yeah. Yeah.
She knew it was all bullshit. We decided after watching her, the way she acted and everything, this judge is awesome. She is on the money. So we went to
Yeah.
go meet.
I wish I had your judge, man. Go
Oh
ahead.
man, dude, I was lucky with her because Pilmer would have nailed me to the wall. They would have convicted me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. He was part of the system.
Right. So we went and met in an office in a room, and we said, and we had my brother was there with me, he's a retired officer now, my twin brother. Um, I think Dave Jackson was there, or my best friend Oscar's detective. And we were there also with one of Tom Zach's fellow attorneys, and we were all there. And we said, "What do you think?" He said, "We should go with a bench trial. That'll throw the state's attorney for a loop." So we go up there and we say, "Your Honor, we want to move for a bench trial." She was like, "Oh, really? Okay. Did you fill out the waiver form to drop having a jury trial?" And the state's attorney's like, "Oh, really? I'll get the form for you." So we filled it out. She says, "Okay, we're going to set a trial date." Now, this was in October. We're going to set a trial date for 2 months from now. Let's set it for December 16th. She goes, "We'll set it for 2 days, but the way I see it, we're probably not going to need 1 day."
Nice.
I was like, "What the?" So we set it. She set it for December 16th, and she tells the state's attorney, "Mr. Weiss, you have to turn in your list of witnesses, as well as you, Mr. Tom Zach, real soon, because we got 2 months till we go to trial. Okay. That day I found out that the state's attorney was so pissed off, he went to the Joliet Police Department and wanted all the general orders and policy. Would you believe that? How come he didn't know it was in that case? So look at, so there, here it goes. 2 months go by. We never get a list of witnesses. December 13th on a Friday, I'm working out in my man cave. As you can see back here, this is my man cave down here.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm working out, 4:30 in the afternoon, still hadn't received the witness list. So I'm thinking this asshole on Monday is going to go in there and try to nut my freaking trial date again for the 5th time and drag
Right,
it
right,
out.
right,
Now, mind you,
right.
we're coming up on over 4 years. You're supposed to call at 4 years. Either you're going to go to trial or you're dropping the shit.
Yeah.
30, I'm working. I get a phone call from my attorney. Jeff says, "Hey, man, what's going on? How you doing, Butch?" I said, "Good. Let me take a guess." He goes, "Yep. We got to be in court on Monday at 9 in the morning, not 1 o'clock in the afternoon." So I didn't know he had all his attorneys and his paralegals on conference call, on speakerphone. And I'm like, I thought right away, they're going to fuck us again, right? They
Mhm.
all yell at the same time. "It's because you've been vindicated."
Nice.
They said he sent us a letter vindicating you. But get this shit. The letter said, instead of saying they fucked up and he was wrong, the letter said, due to new evidence that was presented, new evidence. So the exculpatory evidence we tried giving him and a Supreme Court ruling that I disagree with. I had to review all the evidence in your case and found that I could not try his case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, he knew it was bullshit.
But I found out that he had called in Chief Evans, along with the deputy chief, into his office 2 to 3 weeks before my trial and told them he had to vindicate me. So this asshole waited 3 weeks, made me sweat it out
Yeah,
before he
yeah,
vindicated me.
yeah.
Gets
That's
better.
crazy.
So now I'm vindicated. So that Monday, December 16th, I go in. The reporters are waiting outside. My family, my best friend, his wife, my mother, my brother, good friend Dave Jackson, the president of the JBPOA, who called me almost every day to make sure I was okay. We're all in court. Here comes in Weiss, like 10 minutes late, sits up in front of the courtroom, doesn't say a freaking word. My attorney goes up there and the judge is like, "Wait a minute, your trial's not till 1 o'clock. And my attorney says, "Your Honor, the state's attorney has sent me a letter on Friday saying he's vindicating my client." And she was like, "Oh, really? Where's the form? So I can sign it." She looks at the state, she goes, "Is that true, Mr. State's Attorney?" He won't even open his mouth. He just shakes his head. So
Crazy.
the same asshole who wouldn't look at me this whole time now has egg on his face because he had to vindicate me. No balls. Come on, man.
So after you beat your charge, congratulations on beating the charge. That's a big victory for
Thank
all
you.
whistleblowers, right? Congratulations,
Yep.
and well deserved too, as well. And I know one of the worst parts is just sitting around waiting, not knowing what's happening, right?
It was
And
horrible.
those 3 weeks, I know it could seem like eternity, right? All the stress and all the worries that you and your family go do and all that stuff. Like he could have just called you up and be like, "Listen, this is what's going on. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry this happened to you. We apologize, blah, blah, and all this other stuff. And, then at least you know what's going on instead of keeping you in the dark, which the job has done to me for 10 years. All right. So it's a lot of mental stress. I know what you go do. Congratulations on that victory. Now, what else is happening? Like, whatever happened with, the Juliet, the wrongful death case with the drugs and stuff, and whatever happened with that? Like, did they change department policy? Are they the officers held accountable for it? Also, do you have a lawsuit against them for putting you do all this?
Yeah, so getting to that. So here's before this. So when the new state's attorney took over, the number one guy after Schlifka was resigned. January of 2024? Yeah, January 2024, before he vindicated me at the end of the year. He called my attorney and said he wanted me to take a plea on one felony.
The fuck out of here.
So I said to my friend Jeff, "You know what? I hate to say this," and I said it bluntly. I said, "You tell him to go fuck himself."
Yeah,
My
absolutely.
attorney said, "I can't do that, Butch. I'm your attorney. I advise against." I go, "No, let him know that I said to go fuck himself."
Yeah. They try to do that to CYOA, so you can't sue them.
Yeah. So then I said, "An innocent man doesn't plead guilty." So it's funny. When I was vindicated that day, a good guy, great reporter, the police hate him because he tells the truth. John Farrick of the Patch So, I do Star Wars costuming, 501st Legion. I've been doing that for almost 27 years now.
Yeah, I
Not only
love it,
that,
man. I
but
seen it on Facebook. Yeah.
I also dress as 1989 Batman and also 66 Batman. So, my attorney had told him that day, Batman don't plead guilty. So the article that day by Farrick says, Batman don't plead guilty.
Nice.
And I'm standing in front of the courthouse, and I think it's so funny because now I told my fellow cosplayers, I'm like, "Hey, I'm Batman. I'm official in the paper." That day, so when that happened, um, so now move on, I'm vindicated, right? And so later on, what happens now, this is what goes after this. So after this, I'm vindicated, and the officers involved never got charged. They got their 6 and 7 days off. Ooh, I'm sorry. So the week before I'm vindicated, the Attorney General, Kwame Raoul, actually came out with his investigation against the Joliet Police Department. He did a 3-year investigation on them because Odekirk asked about that, right? And in his investigation, if you look at it at the paper, I wish I had it with me right now to show you. They found that the Joliet Police Department is racist, did all kinds of stuff against minority people, all kinds of violations, right? The current mayor and the current chief acknowledged that and said, oh, no, no, but guess what? That was the department before.
So nobody's held accountable.
That was the department before. It's not that way anymore.
Oh, that's crazy.
The mayor
Yeah.
turns around and says, bullshit. They come out and in the paper and they say that the state's attorney's office, their investigation was inept. They only interviewed 100 officers. Well, guess what? They asked every single officer on the police department, if you want to talk to us about anything that you know on the police department, let us know. Only 100 officers came forward.
Right, right, right. And that's a lot. That's like one
Yeah,
third of your police department, right?
yeah, and they investigated all kinds of reports by the citizens, all this crap that they did to people, and through everything they found that, yeah, they violated people's rights, pulled over people because of the color of their skin, beat people up for no reason, but yet their investigation is inept.
That's crazy.
Currently,
So nobody's held accountable for it. That's
no,
crazy.
currently they're still waiting because the city of Joliet is fighting the state's attorney, I mean the attorney general's office, because they don't believe they should be held accountable. They don't believe there should be any kind of consent decree. Same bullshit. We're not going to take it. So right now everything's still pending with that part of it. So that's one of the things that happened. Then later on, um, I put in, so here in Illinois, I don't know about New York. So you remember HR 218, right?
Yeah.
The Homeland
For your
Security Act, where police
for your gun
officers,
for your
when
gun license.
retired,
Yes. Mhm.
you can carry anywhere in the United States when you're a retired
Yep.
officer in good standing.
Right.
Here's the words I'm saying. In good standing, with at least 15 years on the job, I submit to the chief, Evans, a letter before I was vindicated about my retirement badge. He sends you back a letter because of your current state of being in court. When you're cleared of your charges, resubmit your letter for your badge. So
Okay.
I was cleared, vindicated.
Mhm. All right.
October 24th, Christmas Eve of that year, I sent him a letter. Hey, I've been cleared. He doesn't respond to me for a month and a half. Not only that, but I gave him my IROC form. I gave it to somebody to give it to him, one of the deputy chiefs. IROC is for my concealed carry as a retired officer in Illinois. So once you sign off on that and you check on the bottom, left in good standing, there's just one box, check. Good standing, not good standing. You take that to the state police, you qualify, and every year you qualify to be able to carry as a retired officer. He did not send me anything back. I kept sending emails. Where is my IROC? Wouldn't respond, but responded the letter back for the badge negative. He was not giving my retirement badge. This year, I resubmitted the IROC form because I could appeal it in 30 days. But since he never signed off on the first one and never gave me an email, I could resubmit it, right?
Right.
He replied right away, Javier, I just sent you your email, right? I get the email. It's filled out on the bottom, did not leave in good standing. You tell me
What?
this. Yeah. He gives me in 2022 when I retired, I get a letter saying that I did a great job of 28 years of
Right.
service as a
Right. That's your
police
good guy letter. Yeah.
out of your service and a
Right.
retirement ID, but
Right.
yet now I'm not in good standing when I was vindicated.
That's crazy.
So guess who got named in my lawsuit? Well, actually, he's named as a witness in there, but he's going to be. But anyways, we changed it because once he denied it. So what does that show? Still retaliating against me when he had no part in it.
Yeah. That's why all
He
these people gotta go. That's why
he
they
was
gotta clean house. They gotta
me.
go. You gotta hold people accountable, you know? So long
So
story short so long story short, you went through all this, you beat your criminal cases, right? You have the State Department, appealing on the racism that they found in the investigation and stuff like that now, right? And then, even though you retired in good standing with your retirement ID and also your good guy letter that you got in 2022, they still refuse to give you your retirement ID and
No,
your firearm.
my retirement badge and my IROC.
Right, so you can't carry right now.
No, I can go and get a concealed carry permit, but the
Right, but
problem
no, I'm
is
saying they didn't give you your retirement credentials to carry.
right, for carry as a retired police officer under HR 218, right. So,
Right, that's
I was
crazy.
advised not to go get my concealed carry because I earned the right as a honest police officer
Absolutely, absolutely,
to
absolutely.
have an
So
IROC.
so you have that lawsuit ongoing now too.
So, yeah, so a year later, so all these clowns thought that nothing was gonna happen. So a
Mhm.
year later, almost to the date of me being vindicated, my lawsuit hit. All the clowns, as I call them, Roachner, Reed, Agizio, Rosado, those are the 4 that were originally named as defendants in the lawsuit. There's more to come. We just did that so we can get it done and everything. We get it done and so forth, so we can get it to the feds in time. So I found out, so the Fraternal Order Police, so we have a supervisors union FOP, patrol officers FOP, and then we have our Fraternal Order Police Lodge, which everybody's a member. Every year, the lodge holds a Christmas party. I found out that when I filed my lawsuit, all the clowns, all the players that did this crap to me did not show up to the Christmas party.
Of course not. Cowards.
Well, you know what? What did they do to me? I would have gone to, get this, each charge of official misconduct that went from 2 to 4, each charge carried 5 years in prison, 20 years in prison, $100,000 fine for each conviction, the loss of my pension. I'd have gone to jail because they put cops in jail right away. They don't
Yeah,
give us,
yeah.
a break for not
No,
having a
they put good cops in jail right away. Yeah,
right, exactly. You know what that's like, and it's bullshit.
yeah,
So, and I would have lost my driver's license. Now, how would I take care of my family?
right, exactly, yeah,
I lost my house and everything.
yeah.
How do I get a job?
That's the financial retaliation part that I was talking about,
Yep, exactly.
so
And what you're going through.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
was just fortunate. I mean, God carried me through all this, man, because I was really in a pickle for what they did to me. And what gets me is those officers that did this to me, they tried doing Mayor Bob Odenkirk 2 weeks after they did me. They all conspired. It's in the paper. I gotta send it to you. I think you're full. There you go. They conspired and met at Roachner's house. It's in the paper. And the former attorney for the city, I forgot what they call him, Inspector General of the city, did an investigation on it because the state police, they filed a false police report again saying that Odenkirk was blackmailing one of the city council members.
This is crazy, and to think your department compared to, like, the NYPD is a very small department, right? 480
The NYPD,
officers.
absolutely.
Right. NYPD is 30,000 deep.
I know. 10 times, well, shit, 10 times, not even that, 100 times. It's 100
Yeah.
times the size
It
of our
it's
department.
it it's so much more bigger, and the resources they have and the budget they have, it's like, I think, like, $10 billion a year or something like that. It's crazy, right? The resources they spend on retaliation, on these kind of things, vendettas and stuff like that, it's not cheap also, manpower and, lawsuits, hours they put in and stuff, overtime and all this other stuff just to, retaliate against good officers, good acting people, right? And it's just crazy. It's like, how many years you said it was 2020, so it's like 6 years now, like 6 years later, like you're still fighting it. I
Yep, I'm
mean,
I'm I'm fighting for what they did to me, violating my constitutional rights,
right.
doing everything they did to me.
Yeah.
Those guys that lied on an official police report, Reed and Roachner, and everything they did to me, that's official misconduct.
Yeah,
But you know
and
what,
and
though?
even, like, the mayor that looked out for you, he's getting retaliated against now,
He
and he's
did.
the mayor.
So
That's
get this.
crazy.
So they wound up having one of their boys, Mayor Darcy, the supervisors union pushed to have him run for mayor so that they can oust Odenkirk because of what he did by signing that letter to go to the attorney general's office. So the other guy won, and the other guy promised, get this, you're going to love this. He promised if he became mayor, all those guys involved in the shit they did with Lurie, that he would make sure they never went to federal court. Not only that, but he promised the female, the deputy chief that told me to watch the video when she was a sergeant, that she would be chief if he made mayor. So what they did to Odenkirk, they sent that letter, I mean that fake report to the Illinois State Police to do the investigation. Not only that, they sent him a memory card, not a full phone, which they claim was evidence by that council member what Odekirk was allegedly doing to him. They sent them only a card. So the state police were like, wait a minute, where's the phone? No, no, we already looked at it. We're giving you the card. No, that phone should have never been touched. You know better. That's when the state police said, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this investigation. They brought in that council member, the former council member, and when they interviewed him, he spilled the beans about their little scheme to try to go after Odekirk. So then the state police wanted to file charges against everybody involved in that scheme, official misconduct. They take it to the Will County State's Attorney's Office. No, we're not charging anybody.
The system has to keep moving, right? Has to keep surviving.
So
But,
every single one of them.
yes, like, your battle is amazing, and like you said, it sounds like a movie, like, every whistleblower I speak to is the tactics seem the same and stuff, right? So just to wrap it up, like, the things that you went through are very similar from all the whistleblowers, what they go through when they're retaliated against for speaking out. Doesn't matter, like, if it's, like, private company or, like, law enforcement and stuff like that. It's just that law enforcement has a lot more, legal leverage because they're tied in with the DA's office. They're tied in with the judges and stuff, right? And it's all part of the same body. Like I say, it's all part of the same body. It's just the arm, the leg, the head, whatever, and they just want to preserve itself. And it's sad to see that you went through all this for 6 years, man. Like I've been going through it since 2013, and you've been going through it since 2020. It's crazy, man. But you have some victories on your belt, and that actually inspired me when you posted it up in the Facebook group and stuff, in the Lamplighter Project Facebook group, and I was like, "Wow, yes, there's hope."
There
There's hope.
is.
Like, you're doing God's work. It's like you're changing the system, and hopefully everything works out. The truth will always come out, and the truth will always reveal itself. You know,
It
but
does.
I just want to thank you. And do you have any advice for anyone who wants to speak out against whistleblowing? Like, if you had to do it over, how would you do it if you had to change anything?
Well, one, if I would seeing what I know now, if I knew then what I know now, I think I wouldn't have changed what I did at all because I did the right thing. But I would give advice, which I did give advice to other officers from different places before after all this. If you're going to do the right thing, be prepared to be fighting for doing the right thing
Yeah.
because it's a hard choice. And I prayed on it and guy got my answer, but I knew what was going to happen. I had a feeling what was going to happen because we've seen it before. Look what happened to you. Like you said, you 2013. I knew your story already from before, and you've gone through a lot, and you're still fighting them.
Yeah, I'm
And I
still
pray
fighting
for
it.
you all the
Yeah.
time because I want justice for you for what they did, and hopefully, with the new administration and new mayors or whatever's happening, hopefully they see what happened to you,
I
and
mean,
hopefully you get your
hopefully,
pension.
yeah, hopefully with this new mayor Mandami, and hopefully with Commissioner Tish, from what I hear is like, she's trying to clean house, and she didn't agree with the previous administration and corruption that was going on. Hopefully they see this, and they want to help out, and I'm more than happy to help out change the administration, because a lot of things that the new mayor is saying, like some people don't agree with it, but I think he's on the right track. With changing things, having like a public entity, civilian board, oversee the NYPD, like, show
Zero.
accountability for them and stuff like that, instead of cops investigating themselves, right? It just makes no sense to me. But yeah, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Great advice. My advice, I want to just add to that, is document everything.
That's
Document
it.
everything, and don't trust anybody, and don't expect any help from
And
anybody.
don't talk to anybody that you think is a friend because
Yeah.
everybody I thought was my close friends, including my classmates I went to the academy with, that every year we would get together for our anniversary and go eat somewhere or call each other. Not a single one of them backed me.
Right.
So
Exactly.
not talk to if you know something that's wrong and you're thinking about doing the right thing, do not tell anybody anything because they
They
use
cut off
people
there.
they were gonna use
Yeah.
people against me that I talked to, I trusted, as witnesses against me,
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
tell anybody anything, so that's it.
Yeah, I would say document everything and drop logs everywhere, drop reports everywhere. But I would do it anonymously. Like if your department procedure says you have to report to internal affairs, I would drop an anonymous log, get that log number. I would drop one to the Department of Investigations, Inspector General, state attorney general's office. I would even go as far as, dropping a log with FBI and stuff like that. But also
Exactly.
there's a lot of nonprofit organizations, right? So like the Government Accountability Project and whistleblowers. Like do your research online and get in contact with some, nonprofit organization, and they could help represent you. Because the first thing you're gonna need is a lawyer,
That's it. A
because
good
that's
one.
gonna be the most expensive. Yeah, that's gonna be the most expensive thing out of all this, right? They got unlimited resource tie you up in court, and you're gonna need a lawyer. Try to get a nonprofit one, that's can do on contingency or something like that. And also your local organizations that are fighting police corruption and stuff like that. Reach out to them and let them know. But
Not forget
thank you.
Tom Devine. I forget Tom Devine. Tom Devine from the,
Yeah, Government Accountability Project. Tom Devine is
he was
excellent,
amazing.
excellent,
Yeah,
excellent.
amazing.
Yep.
And also, you said the lamplighters, they got a hold of me out of nowhere. I thought it was somebody trying to get information to screw
Yeah,
me.
me too. When they first reached out, they were like, "Oh, we work with Serpico," and I'm like, "Okay,"
Yeah,
and I thought it was a joke because that was when Serpico was first coming on Twitter and stuff, and I was like, "Is this a joke? Somebody's pretending to be Serpico?" And then, I talked to him and I was like, "Oh, this is the real thing," you know? So, yeah,
exactly. They were
yeah,
great, and they are there
yeah,
for every whistleblower, and they themselves are
yeah,
whistleblowers. I mean, I watched like you did before we go, I watched Serpico as a child, the movie, just like you did
yeah,
probably.
same thing, same
You're like,
thing. They
"Wow,
showed me
that's"
in the Academy, the movie. They
yeah,
showed me
and
in the
that's
Academy, the movie.
what I always wanted to be, that integrity, and I followed
Exactly.
that. This is my idol, and to be able to get the first Lamplighter Award, I never
Yeah,
expected this. I look at this
nice.
all the time, and Serpico's name is on there, on his "Keep the Lamps," basically burning, and I didn't want this. I didn't expect anything. And I tell you, it's an honor, and especially to be able to know Frank, talking to him, after all this, brother, just like you, hey, I'm honored. And let's for all the whistleblowers out there that want to do the right job. And but by the way, they say I'm not a whistleblower, just so you know. I'm not a whistleblower for what I did. We're
Yeah,
snitches.
yeah,
So
we're rats and snitches,
yep,
yeah.
or rats. For all the whistleblowers out there, officers that want to do the right thing, just remember what happened to us will happen to you. It's the same playbook across the nation. Just remember, get a great attorney, look at all these whistleblower groups, especially when it comes to law enforcement, for help. And especially you need someone to talk to. Guys like us from the Lamplighters are there for each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
You have been.
I'll leave a link in the description for Government Accountability Project and, also all over my social media, and I'll leave a link for Lamplighters Facebook link. Reach out. If you want some advice, before you come out and you're trying to prevent it from happening to you, I will say that it's not preventable. They're gonna do it regardless, but at least you'll be prepared, right? Um, Preparation is like key to winning your case. But Javier, man, thank you, brother. Thank you for all you done. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story. And I wish you the best, brother. You know what I mean?
Hey, thank you. You as well, brother. Hey, you going through the same thing, just in a different level, all of us,
Yeah,
and we
we
were there,
try.
brother. And that's what's great about it, brother. Whenever you want to talk, midnight, like you call it at night and stuff, it doesn't matter. I'm retired.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. Well, I'm not retired, but I'm free now. But no, what I was gonna say is, we're here. We need to come together, us whistleblowers. A lot of us law enforcement and other whistleblowers, we tend to fight the battle by ourselves, right? But we definitely need to come together and we need to fight the battle together, as a unit. It's this way they can't say, "Oh, it's a disgruntled cop. It's just one isolated incident," stuff like that. No, it's happening across the nation. And later on this week, tomorrow, in fact, I'm interviewing another cop from LAPD.
Awesome.
It's happening all over the world. So we definitely need to fight this battle together.
Absolutely, man. All right, brother.
All
Be
right.
safe.
Yeah,
Take
brother.
care. We'll talk
All right, man.
soon.
All right. Peace and blessings.
All right. You too.